Netanyahu is defying growing international criticism, saying that no amount of pressure can stop Israel from achieving total victory in this war. Recently, United States Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer had called for Israel to have new elections. President Joe Biden has accused Netanyahu of hurting Israel because of the high death toll in Gaza. But still, Netanyahu has vowed to plow ahead with the offensive into Rafah. He has said that if Israel stops the war before it's achieved all of its war aims, then it is going to lose. Let's listen to what Netanyahu had to say.
It is no secret that the international pressures against us are increasing. There are those in the international community who are trying to stop the war now before all of its goals are achieved. They do so by making false accusations against the IDF, against the Israeli government, and against the Prime Minister of Israel. They do so by trying to bring about elections now, in the midst of the war. And they do this because they know that elections now will stop the war and paralyze the country for at least 6 months.
These comments come on the same evening that Netanyahu is expected to send a delegation to negotiate in Qatar. This was a new proposal put forth by Hamas. There would be 3 stages to the ceasefire if it were to go ahead, and it would see the exchange of hostages for Palestinian prisoners being held in Israel. But while the deal would mean an end to the war, it would still mean that Hamas would remain in control of Gaza, and that is something that Netanyahu said that he will not accept, and he has called the proposal unrealistic. Meanwhile, the mood in Israel is becoming more and more frustrated. People are becoming angrier as time goes on. On Saturday night, thousands of people took to the streets in Tel Aviv. They were protesting, calling for elections, as well as calling for the government to figure out a deal to get these hostages home. They have been protesting for months. Last week, people blocked a highway going into Tel Aviv. They were holding cardboard cutout signs of some of the female hostages who are still being held. Earlier this month, people protested outside the United States Embassy in Tel Aviv, asking for President Joe Biden to do something. I've spoken to some of the families of these hostages, and they are concerned. They say that this ceasefire deal right now might be the last chance to get their loved ones out. I spoke to a man named Ricardo. His 22-year-old nephew was taken on October 7th. He was abducted. He's in Gaza. He said that he worries if these talks break down, that it's going to trigger an offensive into Rafah, which might mean that Hamas decides it has nothing to lose and that Hamas can then do what it wants to the hostages, he said. There were about 250 hostages taken when Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th. About 120 were released during a weeks-long ceasefire in November. 130 remain in Gaza right now, but Israel's government has said that approximately a quarter of them are dead. Sam Mednick with the Associated Press for CGTN in Jerusalem.